Hey everybody, welcome back to Kevin's Kreations here on Geektopia Island. I'm Kevin.
I'm Cardwell.
And we're back to showcase another deck from Wonder that we're going to be playing soon. It's going to be really fun to play. It's just super simple. We're going back to kind of like the basics of like playing darkness cards where you're just like reanimate dude, go.
Go. Yeah, exactly.
That's what we're doing. It's super simple with our girl Athenia, and I'm super excited for it. But before we get into it, guys, remind you that we do have a Patreon. Just takes $1 to give us support. We greatly appreciate it. Also, it gives you access to our Discord and it gives you access to all of our deck techs early and all the other fun stuff we have in there. So go check it out.
And also to remind you that we actually have a deck builder app called FOW Grimoire. You can get that on Apple and Android. And with that, you can go ahead and make your first 2 decks for free. And then you can go ahead and share those lists to us or your friends as well.
With that, guys, let's dive into Defying Death. So, our girl Athenia is the order ruler from Red, Black, Green in the Revolutions. She's Tails, so you can only play Tails dudes. And then the front side is Force Command Death. Her back side is Force Command Rebirth. That's the only thing she does. And she'll let you not tap to call stones, but it actually matters because some cards you need Rebirth, some cards you need Death. And they do different things on each side.
Yep. And our first, of course, is Mikage Reiya. She is our good old waifu here. It's 1 darkness, comes into play, gets a darkness card, put it in the graveyard. Simple as that.
Yeah. And you banish it as a part of a mage act. You get
put it back in your
hand, which we do have one, so you get free spell.
Yep.
Oborozuki, the Vampire Astrologer, she's 1 black, 2/2. She literally is an Odin enters the Game of Gods on a creature, which is cool. So you look at the top 3, put in your hand, 1 graveyard, 1 removed. You get counters for every card in your removed and graveyard, and then you can kill the board for counters. And she's got Flying Drain and Bane. I'm big Flying Drain, Bane, kill you.
So many keywords.
Yeah.
And the baby Oborozuki is Spirit of Decay. It's a little pet. Basically does the same thing. One drop comes into play, puts the X1 counters on it for the cards in the graveyard though, and then remove it to do -2/-2 to any Resonators on the field.
And you can kill them with this because it makes them lose life.
Yeah.
So holla.
Pretty good.
The major 1-drop we're playing in this deck is Lich, the Immortal Saint. He has 1 black, 4/4. He has a Tails. If there are no cards in your graveyard, destroy all their Resonators when it comes into play. And if he's Revolution, which is what you want to do with him, he has Bane. And then if there are no cards in your removed area, put target Resonator from graveyard into the field.
So good.
So we're going to do this on turn 1, hopefully, or turn 2 to get a big dude, because we're just playing big dudes, because it's Reanimator. That's what you're doing. Yeah, big dude. Yeah.
You're like, Will, Mikage, get a big dude. Turn 1, you play this. Go.
Yeah.
Hopefully. Oh no, you can't do it with the Will. Anyways, we got Gill, Lapis, Vampire Guardian, 2 black, darkness. Also a quick cast. Put the top 4 decked in the graveyard, put a Resonator from the graveyard to your hand, simple as that. And Revolution, he gets really big for each dude in your graveyard, and your opponent loses life for each dude in the graveyard as well. Mm-hmm. Or each card in the graveyard.
Yeah, he gets counters, and then your opponent loses life equal to his counters. And he's there to help.
Yeah.
One of the first targets we have for reanimate spells, which is hilarious, and nobody sees the player anymore, sadly. But Athenia, old Athenia, Sealed God of the Ruins, she has 5 mana for 12/10. Enter, your opponent banishes a Resonator. If they don't, they banish a Magic Stone.
Seems good.
So you're like, turn 1, I'm going to kill your Magic Stone. Because most likely they're not going to have a Resonator because they're going to order it. It's just pretty much what's going to happen.
Yep.
And then when this card is put in the graveyard from the field, your opponent banishes a non-J entity. So that can still kill another Magic Stone if it dies. And you get the added benefit of tap your opponent's dudes get -2/-2.
So yeah, simple as
So
that.
if you get her for free on turn 1 for 1 mana, you're just like, ah, I have 12/10, kills your stone.
I'm big. Also, a bill, blah, is of course a Geryon. You know what he does. Discard, pay a green, discard it to counter. Pay a black, does discard it to kill a 1-drop dude. And then no one can play cost 1-drops. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, if you're playing against an order ruler and you drop a Geryon early, they're not happy.
Yeah, not happy at all.
One that I liked that can help you do stuff later on. It's not like game changing, but it can help you in the long run. Is Valentina, the Crumbling Illusion. She has 7 mana for an 8/9. You pay 1 less to play this card for each Resonator in graveyard, which you're gonna have a lot. And then at the beginning of your turn, put a Resonator from your graveyard into the field. So literally, you just get free value if you do this on turn 1.
Yep. Simple, I like it. And you can tell the power creep from the old Force of Will to this Force of Will for sure. It's Mikage Shinjuro. It's a 1 darkness, 7 flying drain, 15/15. Also costs less for each card in the removed area, or you may remove as many cards to make it cost less. And then pay a black to discard this card, put the top 3 cards in your deck and in the graveyard.
That's what you're doing with this guy.
Yeah.
So that turn 1, you're like, hey, cool. I'll use my black to discard this card and mill 3.
Yep.
And then hopefully you get a Geryon or some big dude, and then you're like, cool, Lich on my turn. Yeah.
So good.
And you're just like, good free dude, hey. And then also he gets to play dudes for free as long as if they're in the removed area, if he's revolutioned. Next we go into Athenia's Into the Game of Gods. It is 1 black chant. Your opponent banishes a Resonator. If they don't, they discard a card. Super good. It has Force Resonance Death. You may remove 3 cards from your graveyard into the game. Draw a card for each one. Or Force Rebirth. Put 3 cards from removed area back in your graveyard. And then recover Y entities where Y is the number of cards put into the graveyard this way. That's the major one we're going to worry about. I'll go over it in a little bit, but this card is super good just in general, and then it helps you do stuff with the combo that we have.
Of course, we have Tree of Decay. It's 1 Darkness Edition. Your opponent discards this card. And we have Death, this card in the following text. You may play this card without paying any cost to it, as long as it's the first one. And then remove X cards from the graveyard, and your opponent loses X life. Play this only once per turn.
Yeah, if you get the trees in play, you literally get to just be like, hey,
just back
lose life,
forth.
gain life, lose life, gain life.
Every turn.
Tree of Growth is 1 green, draw a card, and if you have Rebirth side, it's free. And then when a J Resonator is put into the field, put 2 1/1 counters on it, and put X counters from removed area into the graveyard, gain X life.
Yep.
Do it once per turn. So literally, each turn you're like, you lose life, I gain life.
Simple.
Get free value.
Elixir's Love is 1 green and 1 chant remnant. Put a target chant from the graveyard in your hand. You'll see why that's available later.
Part of True Power is also one of our favorite cards because it's just a bonkers card.
Yeah.
Black and a green, return a dude from the graveyard, a darkness dude, and you have to sacrifice a creature. And if you sacrifice that creature as Mikage Reiya, you literally get her back to your hand to do more stuff with her.
Just to keep on doing it. Next is Death and Rebirth. It is a darkness green quick cast. So, your opponent banishes a non-magic stone, non-J roller entity. With Death as an additional cost to play this, you remove X cards from your graveyard from the game. Your opponent banishes X non-magic stone, non-J roller entities. Pretty good. Rebirth, though, as an additional cost to play, you may put Y cards from your removed area into your graveyard. You may recover up to Y magic stones. So it's Game of Gods, but a little more.
Yeah, it does a little bit more, but it's a lot more to play.
Yeah.
And then finally we have Deathscythe, the black-green one. It costs black and a green, mythic. Produce 2 wills. You can play this you can use this mana for anything God's Arts, Mage Arts, cards that are in the graveyard, or activate abilities of cards in graveyards. So if you have it in play, cool. It lets you play free remnant cards, which we have. But that's not major why it's in here. The second part it's in here is remove 3 cards from your graveyard from the game, put this card into the graveyard into your hand. So this is the 3-card combo that's really silly with this deck. Deathscythe, Elixir's Love, and enters the Game of Gods. Athenia enters the Game of Gods. So, as long as you have a dude on Rebirth side, like Athenia's on the Rebirth side, you can trigger everything. So you first have to Revolution a dude. Kind of rough, is what it is. So then you trigger, and you have a Deathscythe in your yard. So you trigger the Deathscythe by removing 3 cards from the game. Cool? And then you remove the Deathscythe and 2 other cards, preferably Elixir's Love and something else. Doesn't matter what else the other card is, just Deathscythe and Elixir's Love need to be those 2 cards. 2 of those 3. Then you play the Enters the Game of Gods. So you get to put 3 cards back from your removed area back into your graveyard, where Y is the number of cards put in your graveyard this way, and you untap 3 stones, preferably. And while that happens, your opponent banishes a Resonator. If they don't, they discard a card. So each time you do this, they're literally going to get lose a dude or lose a card.
Yep.
So by the time this is over, they're not going to have any cards in play, or not have any dudes in play, and any cards in hand. And then the Elixir's Love is a green and 1 for Remnant. Put target chant from your graveyard into your hand. So that gets back the Elixir, or that gets back the Enters the Game of Gods.
Yep.
So for the same 3 mana that you untap each time you do this, you literally clear their board. Clear their board, clear their hand. And if for whatever reason you get to put a Deathscythe in play, then with Deathscythe and 2 stones, you get free infinite mana, period.
Yeah.
And if you do this on turn 3, you can go all in and hope to God it works, and then you get to play Geryon because you have the first. So when you first do it on Athenia Into the Game of Gods, you get 2 free mana, floating 2 mana. Wow. And then you trigger everything, and you get the extra 2 mana, and then you always have 3. And the last one, instead of getting it back, you just have the mana.
Yeah.
Geryon.
It's intense and it works.
It's wild, and if you get the 3-card combo to just be like, hey, cool, you don't have a cards in hand, so you don't have a way to answer me now. Now I'm going to play the game how I want to play the game. But know that it does take turn 3, and you have to have a dude in play. That's Revolution. So it's not without its own drawback, but it's pretty funny. The stones are really simple. We're playing every stone that can add green-black, because that's really all we're doing. Magic Stone and Black Silence, Magic Stone and Moonshade, and Killing Stone. Well, all of those are black-green stones in some form or fashion. You lose life on some of them. And then we do have some honorable mentions. They're there for if you want to change out cards or play them in there. One is the Arena expansion. The more I looked at it, the more I wasn't like, it's cool, but it doesn't do much for you, in my opinion. So Darkness Magic Stones produce a green, or you can remove this on death. You remove 3 cards from your graveyard from the game. Pay this card's cost instead. Your opponent discards a card, banishes the Resonator, loses 5. Or Force Resonance Rebirth. You put 3 cards from removed area into the graveyard to pay this cost. Draw a card, recover target Resonator, and gain 5 life. So it's cool. It's not really super necessary. If you're playing against aggro, it's cool because then you gain the life back, but it's not like a major necessity. We also have Griffin if you want a mana ramp, because why not? When you're like turn 1 mana ramp, pow, I get 2 free stones. It's super fun. I cannot wait for this deck to be played and do silly shenanigans with this deck.
Hopefully we get to show it off for sure.
Yeah, I love Reanimator. I've always have. It's one of my favorite like archetypes of decks. So just be ready for it. With that, guys, the deck list will be down below. Go check it out. Let us know what you think about it in the comments down below, and we'll see y'all again next time.
Goodbye.
Later. Make sure you subscribe to our channel, guys, and hit that like, and then also click that bell so you get all the updates and notifications on our channel. And then send us any comments down below so we make sure we get them.
And just to remind you that we are actually streaming on Twitch now, where we do all our deck brawls and also video game content. And also remind you that we do have a Patreon, and we like to go ahead and thank the Mythic and Above Patreons. So thank you, Ryan.
Thank you.
We love you.
Boom.